What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. You guys have heard a lot of stuff that I posted in the episodes, and what I wanted to do today is I wanted to bring on my friend Antonio so you can hear another perspective about the Florida prison system and other prison systems. So real quick, man, why don't you tell them your name and where you're from?
My name is Antonio Watkins. Originally from Long Beach, California.
All right. So a lot of people know on the channel about the Florida Department of Corrections. So I take it you've done time in California.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So before we jump into that, when in your life did you start doing stuff that made you go to prison? Like what age do you think?
Well, mid-20s. Got involved with organized crime. Different groups, grew up with the gang activity as well. My first prison sentence landed me in a place called Salinas Valley, Soledad.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about that camp. So that's a violent camp, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely run by gangs. So I heard you mention that's where you first went down. So take me back to the time when you got arrested before you went down. What jail were you in, and how was that for you?
I started out in a place called the Glass House in California, in LA, downtown Los Angeles. The jail consists of gang modules, whatever gang set you were from, whether it's Crip or Blood. They had different modules, different floors. So you had to be honest on what part of the city you were from. There also was Latino modules, and in some cases when there was an overflow, somehow they get mixed together. And that was always a pretty rough spot to be in.
So I take it the reason why they did that was because if you're a Blood and you don't tell them you're a Blood, then they classify you and send you into a dorm with nothing but Crips. Shit can get real for you real quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long were you in that jail that time?
The process, as a lot of us know, is terribly slow.
Definitely.
So in LA County jail alone, I may have spent up to about 90 days just in that environment. It's a no sleep environment. There's a lot of things happening within those day to day and 90 days. You kind of can't wait to move on to your destination.
Right, and I'm glad that he brought that up because every time I've been in county jail, the thing you hear throughout the jail, especially with people that know they're going to be sentenced to prison, they're always talking about, man, I can't wait to get out of here and get to prison. And that right there, that's crazy. So they make you comfortable in the jail, but not comfortable enough. And when you get to prison, you're able to go outside. You're able to walk the yard. You kind of get more freedom. Back then you were smoking cigarettes. So there's a lot of freedom in a crazy way as that sounds going into a prison versus jail. So when you were in jail that time, what would you, if thinking back to that moment, what was the craziest thing you saw?
Oh man, actually saw all-out gang riot between the SAs, which is Spanish American, against Crips, and that was a terrible sight. In some cases, the guards remove themselves. They don't hang out for that activity. They pretty much wait until it's done and then they come and clean up. So to experience that type of trauma first time in jail left me pretty stunned.
So I would say then with that experience, you were already exposed to the corruption of the police, leaving people in there to get stabbed, not caring.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
you know, when you put yourself in the shoes of some of these COs or correctional officers, you know, they sometimes say that they're doing time as well, and they have the thing that they have to get home. So.
Right. And but they're going home, so they can say that all they want. So, but they're really not doing time. They're there, they're getting paid, and they're doing whatever they want. So, when you were in there, when did you actually get sentenced, and for how long did you get sentenced for that time?
My first sentence was a 5-year sentence.
Okay.
Like I said, it took about 90 days to get to that sentence agreement.
So when you got sentenced, when you were in court, I don't know if you signed a plea or if you went to trial, but whatever the case may be, when you took your sentence, what was going through your head at that time?
Well, when I took the sentence, I knew I was going to prison. I knew I was going to California prison, which I've heard some horror stories. And my mind was racing. I wasn't sure what was to come, what was in store.
Right.
Worried quite a bit.
Of the unknown.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So when they transferred you from jail to prison, that's when you landed at
Salinas Valley.
Okay. So what was that mind state like pulling up to that prison? Because I mean, you know, that's a notorious prison.
Well, yeah. Salinas Valley is listed as a supermax. The system, as they say, was full, and I was listed as a override or overflow.
Oh, okay.
So I originally didn't go to where I should have been classified.
I got you.
I got thrown in a prison with people that were doing life sentences. Sometimes the prison was on lockdown the majority of the time that I was there because of some type of riot,
right,
gang fight, or whatever the case. So pulling up there, it wasn't good.
No, definitely not. I can already feel it. So that right there, what he just said, really is another part of the corruption that a lot of people in the free world or people that haven't been to prison don't know about. And what they do is their classification system is broken. The whole prison system's broken. So he went to a supermax prison that is notorious for riots, gang wars, everything he just said. Now, that's what happens to people. They go to prison on not so serious charges, and then they end up in a prison like that, and then they end up stabbing somebody, and the next thing you know, they just got 10 more years added on to their original sentence. And that's part of the system being broken. So when you were in Salinas Valley, what was the most gruesome thing you think you saw in there as far as violence goes?
The most gruesome thing I saw, I remember clearly, they had been on lockdown for about 6 months. Thanksgiving came up. They wanted the convicts to walk to trial. Hadn't walked to trial in over 6 months.
So they were bringing child to the dorm?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a real violent camp then.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was,
so they finally let you walk to the chow hall?
On Thanksgiving Day.
Okay.
And it wasn't 10 minutes before an all-out race riot broke out.
Right.
And I witnessed the gun tower, Mini 14, Mini 15, I'm not sure what type of rifles up there, but I saw him shoot in the areas of convicts that were fighting with knives, and he was begging on the mic, on the loudspeaker, to please stop, and you can hear in this guy's voice that he didn't want to shoot anybody, but he had to.
Right.
And that was the outcome.
Wow, that's crazy, man. So when you were in there, I know you saw a lot of violence and everything. What was the state with like your loved ones, or I don't know if you have kids, or your mom, your dad, your auntie, whatever? Were they supportive for you when you were in there?
Yeah, my mom she was always my go-to.
Mama Dukes.
Yeah, yeah. Once kind of like once you hit those doors, man, a lot of people change. Their truth started to show. So the only person I really had was my mother, and she stood by me the whole ride. Made sure I had what I needed.
Right.
She wasn't big on writing, and
neither was mine.
we look forward to mail, but
Yep.
I can expect a card or so on holidays, and that was about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. You said the mail thing. I can remember being in confinement at Gulf CI, and every day at like 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, there was where the door is. There's a sill, and you can see the officer's desk in the middle of the T building. And I would wait there for like 2 hours to see when they got the mail. So I definitely know what you mean about mail.
Yeah.
So you did your whole 5 there?
Yeah, I did my whole 5. I ended up getting caught up in a couple things that just upped my custody, and seeing that I was already in a spot where it was high custody, so I paroled from there.
Okay. Did you do any confinement time when you were there?
Did some confinement time.
The SHU, right? That's what they call it out in Cali.
Yeah, Cali has a SHU program, but I didn't take it to that depth.
Okay.
Usually there's something, SHU program is something when there's I'll just say bloodshed.
Okay.
If you end up stabbing someone,
Right.
if you're a major threat to the staff, then yeah, you'll end up in the SHU program.
Okay. Yeah, so that's like the end of the line for violent offense like stabbing. So when you got out of there, did you like have a plan set up for when you were being released, or did you have a place to go? I'm sure your mom was there. How was that day when you left there?
Yeah, definitely had a place to go. I maneuvered my way into a relationship.
Okay.
from prison.
Okay.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of women that shop in prison for
That's real. That's real.
For guys. So I maneuvered my way into a relationship. I left there pretty comfortable. Had made some additional money while I was there.
Okay.
And
so when you say make money, were you had a hustle in there, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were times that I had the opportunity to hold packages.
I got you.
For some of what we used to call border brothers, and those were the Spanish guys that didn't speak much English, and I was pretty okay with them, and they were good at getting narcotics in, but they knew if they let the essays, the Spanish American guys know that they would just take it from them. So 1 or 2 confided in me to hold their product.
Okay.
So I charged them for holding their product.
Okay. It's crazy, man. Chicos and Spanish people, and they're always the plugs. And they always need somebody to help move it, hold it, or whatever the case may be. But so when you left there and you went in to living with the girl that I guess you were talking to when you were in there, what was your goals at that point? Like, were we still running wild, or?
You know, man, you really you go through that stage of being humble, and you have every intentions on coming out and getting a job, doing the right thing. You just want to live right, and that's not always the case once your feet hit the ground, and then you realize you got to get moving. You got to get some things going for yourself soon.
Right.
You've got PO or parole officers that have guidelines and stipulations on you. People in your family may have expectations. If you have kids, people, no one wants to talk about, what's going on the yard anymore at that time.
Right.
It's real life. So
that reality just smacks you right in the face. That's my experience with it. And every time I got out of jail or prison, I had the best intentions to not go back into that life and to try to do good. What I've found is when you start to try to do good, there's so many limitations that people have that are felons or have been to prison. And I know he mentioned parole and probation. Parole and probation does not want you to complete that. So that's why they line up all those hoops for you to jump through, hoping that you're not going to be able to make it through one. And then you just become that recycled inmate coming in and going out. When you got out, and were you on parole?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how long were you on parole for?
I was on parole. They scheduled me on parole for 24 months. I believe I made it about 16 before I had a violation.
So was that like a technical, or did you cop another charge?
No, it was a technical violation.
Okay. And they send you straight back in Cali for that?
In Cali, they will. Unfortunately, I called my PO, my parole officer, and told her that I wasn't going to be living in the state anymore, that I was leaving the state.
Okay.
And,
is that when you came to Florida?
That's when I came to Florida.
Okay.
I what they call absconded.
I've done that too.
Yeah.
So I'm good at that. So when what happened when you called her? Did she put a warrant out for you in Cali, or how did that all go down?
I had been pretty okay on parole. I don't know if it was.
She spared you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was God's grace, but she removed me off her caseload.
Oh man, so yeah, she definitely spared you on that one.
Yeah.
Definitely God's grace right there, ladies and gentlemen. So when you were in Florida, were you with the same chick that when you got out of?
No.
Okay, so she got left in Cali.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So when you came to Florida, was that your first time coming to Florida?
My first time in Florida.
Okay. So how was that compared to the Cali and being in Cali and living there?
At the time, with my mindset, I got to Florida, man. I looked around and I said, "This is sweet."
Yeah.
You know, it was a total different pace.
Definitely.
There wasn't an immediate threat of territorial thing going on. And once I found out how everything was moving, I pretty much jumped in with both feet.
I got you. So I know you said like territorial. So were you banging in Cali or?
Always been affiliate.
Okay. So when you came to Florida, were you still repping that set, or were you kind of just glad to get away from it all?
When I got here, I wasn't repping it because it just wasn't.
Wasn't Cali.
Yeah, this southern section wasn't geared up for that type of activity.
Okay.
And so I just kind of let go.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So I bet that felt better to
Yeah.
just let it go. You know what I mean? So how long were you in Florida before? I mean, I'm taking it you caught another charge over here.
Yeah, I did. Probably had been here close to a year. Caught my first possession of cocaine, with the intent is what they called it.
Okay.
Ended up with a year and a day, Florida State.
Okay. So you said intent, was that because it was bagged up, or you had like it kind of looked like you were selling it, or?
It goes back a little bit. So I would say it was a possible sale.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, the sale didn't go through. Maybe I saw something or I ditched it.
You just felt it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I know what you mean.
They end up finding it, picking it up, making it a part of, and put me together a nice case.
That's what they do, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So just real quick, when you copped the cocaine with intent charge, when you were in the court system, did you pretty much already know on your first, second, or third court date that you were going to go up the road?
No, I didn't. I kind of thought it would be like a probation thing.
Okay.
My file followed me from California to here. That made a big difference.
Definitely.
And so my only option was take the year and a day or get set for trial, which would take me up to 5 years. So I don't know if that was a scare tactic that they used, but I didn't want to play with them, so
Right.
I took the year and a day.
I definitely think that's what it was. I mean, that's why it's broken. It's not only the prison system broken, but the court system and the justice system is broken. So what happens to a lot of people like Antonio or myself when you go to jail? If you don't have money for a private attorney, you're gonna get the public pretender, they call it, and they're gonna make you sit in there as long as they can and offer you some crazy deals in the beginning, hoping that you'll take it. And when they find out that you don't take it, and then they make you set it for trial. And then that's that scare tactic they use to say, because if you lose trial, you either take this deal today or you're going to go do 5. And most people, 85% of people, are going to take that deal because they're not going to risk going away for 5 years on a cocaine charge.
Right.
So what jail were you in when all that was going on in Florida?
This was Orient Road.
Oh, okay.
Orient Road Jail. I believe at that time they also had one called Morgan Street.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy jail. They shut it down, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's no longer.
So when you what happened when you went to did you go to CFRC? Did you go to Lake Butler for reception?
I went to Orlando, Central Florida.
Okay.
Reception center in Orlando. And one of the things that I found out is here in Florida they call them camps.
Right.
And so that was totally different for me, because where I'm from, you hear terms penitentiary, prisons,
Right.
or work release, and that's exactly what they are. You either go to a penitentiary or you go to a prison.
Right.
Or if you're lucky enough with low points, you can go to work release. But here it was called camps.
Right, and it's not summer camp they're talking about.
Yeah.
So how long were you at Orlando? So let's back up. So when you went to the reception center Orlando, like what was going through your head? Because I know when I got out of prison and then later on got arrested and was back in jail, like the depression, the like here we go again bullshit came up. So I'm sure you did that when you were in jail too, but when you got to the prison, like what was going through your head at that point?
Well, the whole setup was different, and for me, coming from where I came from, it wasn't that intimidating. I knew to be respectful as far as the staff goes, but
Right.
overall it wasn't that intimidating. Walked right through. I was identified by some tattoos that they were gang related. That was noted in my file.
Okay.
That kind of determined to what direction they sent me.
Right, yeah, because it depends on what camp they send you to, depending on your record, your prison write-ups, which they probably saw from Cali, and then also your affiliation. So, how long were you at Orlando?
Oh man, Orlando was probably a little over a month.
Okay.
A little over a month.
And then where did you end up going after that?
I ended up at a place called Jackson.
Oh wow.
Jackson, Jackson CI.
Yeah. So that's in the Panhandle, right?
It was up in the Panhandle.
Okay.
It was supposedly a spot where there were gangs. And
Okay.
that's where they send people that were gang affiliate. But at this time I was non-active, so I wasn't claiming
Right.
any sets here in
So
Florida.
if you had to take a couple things from Cali prison and Florida prison, what do you think is the biggest difference in the two?
Oh, the biggest difference is the respect factor.
Okay.
Out in California, you're gonna respect somebody. You're gonna respect the program. You're gonna respect the system. You're gonna respect the wall phones. You're gonna respect the bathroom. You're gonna respect pretty much everything, because there's a cost to pay when you get disrespectful there.
A real cost to pay.
Yeah. Here, I saw a lot of disrespect. and that kind of made me just pull back on the reins and just stay out of everybody's way, because I didn't know how I would respond if I felt I got disrespected.
Right. And I think a lot of people feel like that, and I know exactly what he's talking about. So when you were there, like you said, pull back the reins. So was your mentality from the beginning of the bid just, I'm just going to cool it and lay low and just do this time and get out of here and hopefully not come back? Or was it, I'm here, and if anybody tries me, it's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, my mindset was I had a year and a day to do, and I knew I could do that, as we used to say, on my chest.
Right.
Right. 10 months, and release. So I did my best to mind my business, did a lot of book reading.
Okay.
Just pretty much stayed to myself.
Okay. Thanks for watching the interview. We're going to do part 2, so make sure you have your post notifications on all so you can hear it first. Shout out to my boy Antonio for coming on the channel and sharing his experience in prison and the corruption he witnessed. And with that, it's DOC TV, and I'm out.